So welcome to today's video. We are taking a look at all my blue watercolors, and we are starting again with the colors I want to use up first, the non-light fast and the light fast ones. The non-light fast ones are not as much, just because I think in general with blue pigments, most blue pigments are light fast, or at least the ratio of the pigments traditionally used in watercolors are that with blue the light fast ones are a lot higher than non-light fast ones, whereas in yellow, reds, pinks, oranges, you have a higher ratio on non-light fast pigments which are used. So yeah, we are starting with Mijello Mission Gold's Indigo. Again, from the set I have all the small tubes from, and it's a PB29, PB27, PBK7 mix, so it's ultramarine blue, a black, and Prussian blue. PB27 Prussian blue is a color that is doesn't matter which brand you are buying a pen or a tube from, it is always labeled as best in light fastness, but the pigment isn't light fast. It will fade over time quite significantly. Yeah, is this the correct word? I'm not quite sure at the moment. So you can really see that it does fade. The specialty with that pigment is that if you put it in a drawer or closet where it is in the darkness for a few months, then it will recover some of it. But all the people who have tested that said to me that it never really recovered completely again. So for me personally, it is always a not light fast pigment, just because if you hang it up on your wall, the color will fade. Doesn't matter if it's an area where the sun doesn't directly shine on it, it will fade with time. So definitely not a complete light fast pigment, even if it does recover. I mean, who want a drawing which you have to put up in a closet for 3 months every few weeks? So yeah, that's why this kind of indigo is not completely light fast. With indigo said, indigo is a color normally made from a plant. The genuine indigo is super not light fast. It fades completely. That's the reason why it isn't widely used anymore in art. It is still used to dye clothes, for example, denim for jeans. But in art it is, you can still buy some watercolors made with genuine indigo, especially from handmade artisans, but most of the time it is, they use some kind of mixture. Like all these colors where the genuine pigment isn't used anymore or not standardly used anymore, each brand has their own formula using different pigments. Some offer light fast version with only light fast pigments, some don't. A lot of them also uses PB66, which is the synthetic version of indigo, and it is similar, not light fast as the natural version. So all versions containing a PB66 are also not light fast, just to be aware of. And of course, as the PB27 is not light fast, the single pigment Prussian blue color is not light fast as well. I do like the color and I like to use it a lot in artwork where it doesn't matter if it is light fast or not, because it is a very beautiful color. But of course, not where light fastness matters. So Switching to the Lightfast selection here, we have nearly completely used up Ceruleanblue from YInMn Professional. This is a PB35. Ceruleanblues are cobalt pigments. You can make Ceruleanblue with a PB35 or a PB36. Some brands offer either this or that pigment. Some brands offer both. So depending on which brand you're having a different pigment. The PB35 version is generally lighter and sometimes a little bit cooler, and the PB36 is a little bit darker, has sometimes a little bit of a grayish undertone. And yeah, if you want to see those swatched out, all of the Ceruleanblues I have, and gain some more information about Ceruleanblue, I will leave a link in the description box below to my Ceruleanblue video. Same goes for the Cobalt Blue video. I will also put a link in the description box. We have here from the Kukyu Camlin company. Camel is their artist grade watercolor. We have the Cobalt Blue hue. Cobalt Blue hues are mostly made with an ultramarine and a white, or an ultramarine and a phthalo blue mix, like they did here. Those are colors I nowadays wouldn't buy. This one, as well as other ones I have, were just part of a set, and I use it as a ultramarine replacement. You can see I have already used it up quite a bit. It looks mostly like a lighter ultramarine version. It does still granulate a little bit, so there's that, but definitely not colors I personally need. If you want a lighter ultramarine, just put some more water in it. You don't need, for example, a Cobalt Blue hue, which contains white. And if you ever have seen a genuine Cobalt Blue in comparison to the hues, then you realize that the hue is just nowhere getting close. The Cobalt Blue has a very special shade of blue, so that is not really, you can't really get the same shade with other pigments. So yeah. Then I have here from Renaissance Intense the Cobalt Blue Deep, which is a PB36 version. So genuine cobalt color. Then we have a single pigment ultramarine from Phoenix, which is rumored to be a white labeled YInMn Cotman, because they have the exact same pigments and color names, and also use this unusual single A for the light fastness, which is used by YInMn as well. So I'm not sure if it is, but they are good quality, student grade. Definitely not artist, but they are good student grade, so you can work quite nicely with them, and they're super cheap. I've bought those in on a sale in a German store, and for these 8 milliliter tubes, I think I bought paid around few 80 cents or so, something like that. So it was very, very cheap. Then I have 2 tubes from Rosa Gallery, and the first one is Blue Indanthrene, or also known as Indanthrene Blue. That's a PB60, and I absolutely love this color. It is an absolutely stunning, super dark, super light fast color. So Normally in sets you will always get the Prussian blue as your dark blue because the pigment is very cheap. The indanthrene pigment is more on the pricey side, and because of that it is really best to buy it if you want to save money or have a limited budget, to buy it from brands like Rosa Gallery, which are very cheap and don't have a pricing system. As far as I know, the standard Rosa tubes, not the special colors, but the standard ones, have all the same price. So you don't have a difference between a very expensive pigment or a cheaper pigment. So that is always best idea if you want to save money or are on a budget, to tend to those brands for the expensive pigments like Cobalt Blue. As you can see, I absolutely love Cobalt Blue. It is most used up here already. It's a PB28 Cobalt Blue, so that's the standard Cobalt Blue pigment. There are a lot of different Cobalt Blue pigments. Cobalt Blue is a very big group from PB32, which is the genuine smalt, PB35 and 36. We have the PB28 and the PB72, PB73 and PB74. The 73 I have never seen in any commercial brand of watercolor, and even with a handmade watercolor it is nearly, you can't nearly get it at all. I think I have only ever seen one seller, but it was too expensive to ship to Germany, so I didn't buy it. I know two brands offering the 72, we'll come later to that, and only a few also selling a 74, so they are more on the unusual side. We have more the 35, 36, 28 that are the most blue, cobalt blue pigments, or the pigments which are used the most for cerulean blue and cobalt blue colors. So then switching to the rest, I have a very big, very big tin, because blue is my favorite color, and that means I have really a lot of blue watercolor tubes. So I will put them all out, sort them a little bit, and then I will be back in a second. So yeah, like I said, a lot. I don't even get all of them in the frame, but we are having colors from Shinhan, PwC, Camel, Lucas, Holbein, Daniel Smith, Winsor Newton Professional, Renaissance Intense, My Mary Blue, Mugello Mission Gold, Phoenix, Core, Rosa Gallery, White Nights, Rembrandt, Sennelier, Schminke Horadam, Calm Supervision, and Michael Harding. I'm starting with the two tubes I have from Phoenix. It is Indigo and Prussian Blue. The Indigo is made from PBK7, PB29 and PB15, which is a mix of ultramarine blue, phthalo blue and a black pigment. The PBK7, I think it is some carbon-based black. Then we have the Prussian Blue, which is of course a PB27. So then I only have one tube from Core, which is ultramarine blue. You will see a lot of ultramarine blue and cobalt blue because those are my favorites. Ultramarine blue is my favorite blue since my childhood, so yeah, I have it a lot. Cobalt blue is next on my blue ranking. So yeah, have a lot of those two in multiple variations. So then let's switch to the YInMn PWC. There we have a Prussian blue again, PB27, already mentioned the light fast issue here. Then we have the Horizon Blue, which is one of two of the blues I have from the brand, which are a white mixture. Those are colors I normally won't buy anymore. I'm not so much into white mixes or pastel-y colors. So this is a PB15 column 4 and a PW6 mix, so it's a phthalo blue and a white. And it has it tends a little bit more towards it's not as turquoisey as it looks here, but yeah, it is more on the hint to a greenish. The Verditer blue is the other white mix I have, which is a PB28 Cobalt blue PW6 mix, so basically Cobalt blue white mix. Yeah, those, like I said, are colors I wouldn't buy anymore, but yeah. Then I have the Royal Blue, which is PB15 column 3 PB66 mix, and there we have the synthetic indigo, so the color is definitely not as light fast as they claim to be, because they have a 3-star system that would be best in light fastness, and definitely this can't be. The next one, yeah, probably also wouldn't buy this color anymore. But when you're starting to get more serious into one art material, starting collecting stuff or testing out stuff, then years later you definitely have a lot of stuff which you wouldn't buy anymore. Some people do sell those things or give it away or just let them rot in the drawer, and I'm not a person to let things rot in a drawer, so I try to use at least those things up over time. So the Peacock Blue is a PB15 column 3, but as you can see from this year, it is a more towards turquoisey kind of shade of the phthalo blue. I'm not quite sure why they gave it only a 2-star, because normally the pigment is best in light fastness, so that's a little bit confusing. Then we have 2 cobalt colors. We have, or not cobalt colors here. Here we have the problem again that I bought it when I had no clue about what hue means. Ceruleanblue hue. That definitely is a color I wouldn't buy anymore. It's just a PB15 column 3, so it is at least a single pigment phthalo blue. Still can use this in other ways. But the Cobalt Blue is a genuine Cobalt Blue. It's a PB28. And YInMn PWC is also one of the brands which are very cheap. They are starting with €3 per tube in Germany, so €3 for a 50 milliliter tube is really not that much. And I think that expensive pigments are around €5 to €6, so that's really, really cheap for an expensive pigment like cobalt pigments. Definitely a good way to get them on a way cheaper price. Of course, prices vary depending on where you live, but there is always a brand which is way cheaper at your place. So it is just take a little bit of time to look up prices. Best way to really compare them is if you are calculating the price per milliliter, because with the expensive brands it is most likely around €1 per milliliter, or more for more expensive pigments. For the cheaper, it's around €1 per milliliter. And if you are getting to cheaper brands, the cheapest I have ever bought is, I think, around 20 or 30 cents per milliliter. So that's a lot of difference, especially if you are buying more than one tube. So then I have an ultramarine light and an ultramarine dark. It's both a PB29 single pigment color, just a lighter and a darker version. So then the Camel, it's just PB29 French ultramarine. So standard ultramarine blue. Then I only have one tube from Lucas. It's ultramarine blue deep, also PB29. This is also a brand, at least here in Germany, which is very inexpensive in comparison to other brands, especially because they have these chunky 24 milliliter tubes. So there is really, really a lot of color in those. So next up, White Nights. First is Manganesblue. It's PB60 again. As you can see, this tube is completely untouched. I have bought it, I don't know, a year ago. Haven't opened it so far. Then I have this bright blue, which is a PB15 column 3. I'm not quite sure, because it's a very a lighter color, if they have added any kind of white or fillers in it to get it that way, or just using less pigment ratio. I mean, it gets darker, but yeah, it's basically a phthalo blue color. Then I have Cobalt Blue, PB28. White Nights is also one of the brands which is cheaper, so good choice for getting more expensive pigments. Ceruleanblue, PB35. I must say that the in the pan, the Ceruleanblue from White Nights is my least favorite one. If you are watching or have watched the Ceruleanblue video, you can see why. It is very streaky and just has not a nice texture to it. It revets not so easily. The tube version is a bit better, but definitely not my favorites. And the last is just again an ultramarine. A lot of those are from a tube set. I think most of them, but the not the YInMn blue, but the others are from a tube set, an old tube set. So next we have Holbein. Those three are from a set as well. A few years back, you couldn't buy any Holbein watercolors easily in Germany. There were only offered 2 or 3 different sets on Amazon for not a cheap price. Nowadays, happily, I can buy single tubes, but at that time I couldn't. That's why I have this set with the small tubes. The first one is Compost Blue, and it is a PB15 PW6 mix, so basically like a lot of Manganesblue hues, phthalo blue and a white. Not a color I would normally buy. Then we have the cobalt blue hue, again, color I wouldn't buy normally. This is a PB29, PB15 mix, like the camel one I have in my first use up version. Then again a Prussian blue, PB27. And then we have the genuine Ceruleanblue, that's a PB35. And I must say that the Holbein version I really, really love. It's one of my most favorite cerulean blues. So next, going to Rosa Gallery, we have a cerulean blue here as well. And it is a PB36. And I think this is one of the newer tubes. I definitely haven't used it so far, so it is untouched. I'm not quite sure, but I think, yeah. No, that's not one of the newer colors. The newer colors have a new design. You can see that they changed the design a little bit. So yeah, don't know why I haven't touched it so far. Probably because I have so many cerulean blues in pans that I just didn't touch it. Then ultramarine, standard PB29, and indigo. They have a PB15 column 1, so a phthalo blue, a PB19, which is a quinacridone rose, and a PBK7 mix, so that is definitely a light fast mixture. And then this one here is one of the new released color from last year. That's ultramarine spectral, and if you can see, I haven't touched it so far. It's at PB29. I think it is just a darker version of the ultramarine version that they had so far, and I'm not quite sure if it maybe granulates a little bit more. Like I said, I haven't tried it so far, but it did look very, very beautiful on the photos from the company. That's why I bought it in the first place. So from Renaissance Intense, I have the Indanthrene Blue, which is of course a PB6T, and the Cobalt Blue Pale, which is a PB28, so standard Cobalt Blue. Must say, not all the brands do this, but they always include the full name, which is very nice. So next, let's switch to YInMn. That's a brand from Italy. It's a very nice brand, having beautiful colors, and they are also more on the cheaper side. I will leave a link in the description box below to the Mom Arte art shop. They ship worldwide. That's, for me, the best place I found to get the YInMn watercolors. They have them a lot of times. They are on sale. At the moment I did do the video, they had it on 25% off. And the page so far is only in Italian. They're working on the English version, which will be launched in September 24, somewhere around that time. But you still can use it. I have ordered there in the past. I always had good experiences with them. They have a very good English speaking support, and the page works very well with an autocorrect, auto translate, I mean. So yeah, they really have good prices. Also on other brands, but I guess for people from other areas, brands like Schminke are also very interesting there, because they are much cheaper as they are on Jackson's or other art shops. For me in Germany, the Schminke ones, for example, are not so interesting because they are cheaper here in Germany, of course, because it's a German brand. So I have the Ultramarine Deep from YInMn, which of course is PB29. And I have, of course, the Cobalt Blue Light, which is PB28 standard Cobalt Blue. They are very pigmented. Definitely a nice brand. So, Magello Mission Gold. I have the color from the set and the one I bought. First is Ceruleanblue. And you can see here I have another Ceruleanblue. That again is the problem with Magello Mission Gold. They often have those kind of colors that you have a very similar name, or that you have a number 1 and number 2. And one of them is the genuine pigment, that is the big tube, Cobalt Ceruleanblue, which is a PB35. And you have a lookalike, which is not sold as a hue, but they only have then Ceruleanblue, or would label it as Ceruleanblue number 1 or number 2. They do this with a lot of their colors, so you definitely have to be careful which you are ordering, because this is just a PB15 column 3, and it is not a color which is in any kind watered down or mixed with white. It is just a pure dark phthalo blue, so it has absolutely nothing to do with a genuine cobalt blue. And I did learn that the hard way, because I have a big tube of this as well, because I thought, oh yeah, Ceruleanblue, I want a Ceruleanblue from Magello, so I ordered the Ceruleanblue, and then I was very confused, because when I tried to swatch it, I had a super dark blue which looked like a phthalo blue, and then I looked at the pigment code, and then I thought, oh darn, it is just a phthalo blue. So yeah, definitely be careful with the brand. Double check if the color you're ordering contains the pigment you want. So then I have an Ultramarine Deep, which is PB29, but mixed with PB15. And that is also, they have a single pigment PB29 as well. Yeah, don't know why it has to be mixed with a PB15. Other brands offer a deep version without a PB15. So yeah, then of course we have a Prussian blue again. Like I said, it is in sets the number 1 choice for a dark blue. And we have a Cobalt Blue hue number 1. Here we have at least a hue, but we also have the number 1 system. So it's a phthalo blue, ultramarine blue mix again. Then let's switch to Rembrandt. I have 2 tubes. Indanthrene blue, PB60 of course, and I have green, which of course is a PB29. Rembrandt are in tubes are very inexpensive in Germany, especially because they have this big 20 milliliter tube. So I pay the same for them as I would pay for the cheaper tubes of Schminke, but Schminke has 15 ml and this is 20 ml, so yeah, get a lot of color a lot more color in those. Funnily, I don't know why, but the pen sets are very expensive in Germany. Very, very expensive, especially in comparison to the prices you pay for the tubes or the single pens. So then I have two colors from Sennelier. The first is from the small tube set I have, and many years you could only buy when you buy single tubes, the small 10 milliliter tubes, and the price weren't as good. That was the reason why I didn't buy these, because with a lot of the colors cost me similar to a 15 ml tube of Schminke, and that was just the point where I said, okay, why should I pay for 5 ml less the same prices? So that's why I have, I think, around 10 small tubes from the set and 2 or 3 bigger ones, since they start selling also 21 ml tubes, which they are a very good deal. They are very more on the cheaper side. So the first one is Phthalo Blue, so Phthalo Blue, PB15 column 3. And yes, the cyanine in phthalocyanine means cyanide. It is part of the phthalo color, but it is bound, so it is not as toxic as it is in the poison. At least that is what I have read on some articles in the past. Then we have the Cobalt Deep, and this is one of 2 brands offering the PB72 Cobalt Blue, and this one, the Cobalt Deep, is PB72. And the other brand would be Roman Schmal. I have this as well, but at that point Roman Schmal doesn't offer tubes, so I only have a pen. But I heard a few years ago that they are working on a tube formula for their watercolors, but Mr. Schmal himself wasn't satisfied with the quality, and they will release it when he is satisfied with the quality. So don't know how much longer we have to wait, but I'm honestly I wait happily a few more years if it is then a really, really good quality. I think it is the better choice to take your time and do it right than to do it hastily and do a bad job. So that's completely fine with me. When they start selling tubes, I will happily buy tubes from them because I really like the brand. So I have 2 colors from Winsor & Newton Professional. Honestly, I love Winsor & Newton Professional. I'm very surprised that I have so less tubes in most of the colors. Definitely have to take a look more at which colors I like to buy. So we have the Smalt. The genuine Smalt you can also see in my Cobalt Blue video, because the genuine Smalt is a PB32, is a cobalt glass pigment, which is very coarse. You can really feel it, but it is one of 2 cobalt pigments, the genuine Smalt and the Cobalt Yellow, or the genuine Aureolin, as it is also known. They are not light fast, so that's the reason why it is not used anymore. And this Smalt hue or Smalt version is made from PB15, which is a ultramarine violet, but it is a very blue version of the color. Honestly, it does not look at all like a genuine smalt, but it is an absolutely stunning color, which I very love. I think from the kind of shade it has, because it is much more closer to ultramarine blue than to ultramarine violet, probably not as strongly burned or heated as the PB15 normally is, just as it starts to skip towards violet, or more and more of the particles change to a violet hue. So it is more like in between those two. But it is a stunning color and I really like it. And then we have the Cobalt Blue Deep, which is one of the two PB74 tubes I have. Like I said, not many brands offer it, but Winsor & Newton Professional is one of them. And the other one is Schminke. Schminke Horadam also offers PB74, which they call Cobalt Blue Deep. And there you have it, PB74. And their Cobalt Blue Light is just your standard PB28. With the Cobalt Blue Deep, the PB74, it is honestly more a color or a pigment for pigment nerds and collectors, because it is very close to an ultramarine blue. It granulates a lot more, but of course, as a cobalt pigment, it is a very expensive pigment, and an ultramarine blue is a very inexpensive pigment, so you could get a very similar shade of blue for a lot of less money. So yeah, like I said, more like a pigment nerd or collector kind of thing, and especially because I'm a huge fan of cobalt pigments, because this is the cobalt and the quinacridone family are my two most favorite pigment family. I have a lot of cobalt colors, but yeah, definitely not a necessity in my opinion. Then I have Cobalt Blue Hue, and that is bought many years back when I had no clue that hue means just a lookalike, where I didn't have any clue about pigments. This is a PW4 and PB29 mix, and yeah, we'll try to use it up as a light ultramarine blue version. Sadly, of course, I have the big tube. So I have a lot of color to use up. And then we have color they called ultramarine violet, but it is also like the ultramarine dark from I think it was dark from from Magello Mission Gold. This is ultramarine violet ultramarine blue mixture, and it tends more towards the blue, so that's why I have it with the blues and not with the violets, even when it says ultramarine violet. All the ultramarine blue or violets also you can see in the videos I did about those colors. I have about all the ultramarine and all the cobalt pigments already done a video series, so you can watch it if you want to, as well as genuine Lapislazuli, which is the origin of the ultramarine we have today, because this was the original version, and that what we now call ultramarine is just a synthetic version of the Lapislazuliblue. I also have a video about that, whereas watch all my genuine Lapislazulis against each other, and I tell you the story about the history of the pigment and the stone and how they come to the synthetic version. So if you're interested in that, like I said, link will be in the description box. Yeah, the Schminckewoche Damm version is a few years old. It was a limited edition. Those small limited editions are super expensive, and I swatched it the first time and then was totally disappointed. This is probably the worst lapis lazuli color I have, the worst genuine lapis lazuli color I have. There is just 90% binder and 5%, I don't know what they put in it, like oxgall and stuff, and yeah, 5% pigment or so. You can barely see the color. It's really, really nasty. Like I said, if you want to see how it looks, you can watch the video. So yeah, that was the point where I thought I don't understand the hype on genuine lapis lazuli, because it just looks not good, but it is just the Schmincke version which looks bad. They said that that will be the last time they are doing a genuine lapis lazuli, because the worldwide stock is swindling. Not sure about how low it is, because there are a lot of brands offering lapis lazuli and you can buy a lot of handmade ones as well. But yeah, like I said, this version is absolutely terrible, sadly. Normally I love Schmincke, and this is the only color where I say it is absolutely horrible. Then another limited edition is the YInMn Blue. This is from the first time they did the YInMn Blue. They were the first brand offering it as a watercolor. And as you can see, it is already half empty. I've used it a lot over the years. They did a second edition or from this color, I think 2 years or so ago, when they did the Yintico Red, but when I bought it, it was a lot cheaper. I think it was around 20 euros in Germany, up to 25, depending on which shop you bought it. And when I've bought it, it was, I think, 17 euros, so I paid a few euros less. I absolutely love YInMn Blue, and I really, really hope that in the future it will get cheaper, because it has some interesting properties, like it reflects so much light that if you're using it as a coating for housing, for example, it will keep the house cooler, easier than other paintings or coatings and stuff like that. So I hope that they will produce it in the future in a much bigger range, so that it will hopefully get cheaper over time, and that it is more easily available, because definitely next to ultramarine blue and cobalt blue, this is my most favorite blue, those three. But as this is so highly expensive, I rarely use it. Also, it is said that it is on the scale we have when we say scale of blue, where we are here more towards green and here more towards violet. YInMn Blue sits absolutely in the middle, so it is the most pure, perfect blue you can get. If you want to see or learn more about the pigment, I also have a video about YInMn Blue in my Manganesblue series, because the MN in the name stands for manganese. The first one is yttrium and the other one is indium. Here it only states YInMn, because at the point the number wasn't clear, but it is PB86 for those who are interested in numbers. And I also did a video where I swatched it next to ultramarine blue and cobalt blue, because a lot of people say it is too similar. It is just a completely unnecessary color, but I personally think you can easily spot that those three colors look very different. So yeah, absolutely love it. Then Michael Harding, Lapis Lazuli Afghan. Lapislazuli from Afghanistan is or was about all times in our human history the most or pure or best lapislazuli you could get. And this version of Michael Harding is absolutely stunning, very strongly pigmented, nice granulation. You can also see it in the lapislazuli video. So yeah, very expensive color, but I really love it. It looks absolutely beautiful. And the Michael Harding colors are always very pigmented, so yeah. Then from Calm Supervision, which is a Chinese brand, this series in the 8 milliliter tubes is their version of Primatech colors, and this one is Impure Lapis. So it is also a lapislazuli color, but an impure one. If you have ever looked up a photo, or if you have a lapislazuli on yourself, then you see it is a blue stone with like black veins in it. So it is a stone which is made of different components, and normally when you are milling the stone, then you are filtering out these unpure elements, the black particles, which you don't want to have in your blue color, and only use the blue with the highest amount of blue, because there are of course particles which are more light blue and more on the darker blue. And this is just a ground up lapis without filtering out the unpure particles. They have a pure version, but it is only available in half pence. So yeah, that's that. Then I have a Phthalo Blue, which is PB15 only named, but I think it could be a PB15 column 6 because it looks more on the closer to an ultramarine blue than your PB15 column 3 does. So yeah, I guess could be a column 6. Nice, beautiful color. Then I have a Cobalt Blue, which is PB28, so genuine standard Cobalt Blue. And then I have those two I've bought because I have a pen set, an old pen set of the brand. And it is an old set, but I've bought it around a half year ago because I always wanted it. I had it on my wish list for years, and then I realized it is not produced anymore and there are only a few left. So I thought, okay, now I have to buy it. And then I realized there is one color in it which they call Sky Blue, and it is a PB17. And then I searched if I can buy some tubes of it, because this is a phthalo pigment which is out of production for a lot of years. So it is a discontinued pigment. It is not easy to get, and I was very lucky that I got this tube. When the genuine Manganesblue PB33 was discontinued, a lot of people recommended PB17 as your perfect cyan color, because the genuine Manganesblue and the PB17 are the closest you get to a genuine true cyan color. So it is a nice cyan color. Like I said, it is a phthalo pigment, but yeah, it is a discontinued pigment, so that is a very precious color. You still can buy it, so they seem to have tubes left. This is the old design, that are old tubes, because nowadays their design completely changed. As you can see here with those, this is a newer series. So they definitely changed it over time. But yeah, that is definitely a very beautiful color. I haven't touched it because I still have the half pan to use, so won't open it until I have the half pan emptied out. And this is another color I've bought because it was in the set. It is a very unusual pigment. It is a PB10, and it looks absolutely stunning, like a hyper dark ultramarine blue. I haven't found a lot of information about the pigment. They list it as very light fast, but the brand is not very reliable with their light fastness rating. And the information I've got in the internet is that PB10 is not a very light fast pigment, but I've bought it because it looks beautiful and it is a very unusual one. So yeah, as a pigment collector, nice to have. Oh, I realize now they even have changed within the old series somewhere the size. This one is smaller and it has a different cap as well. Funny. Yeah. So now let's go to the brand I have the most blue colors, as it seems. Daniel Smith. So I have the French ultramarine, which was my first ultramarine in tube. So you can see it is half used up already. And it is to this day one of my most favorite ones because the French ultramarine from Daniel Smith, it granulates like crazy. So if you are searching for a very, very strongly granulating one, this is definitely a good choice for that. Then I have the Phthalo Blue red shade because I have the green shade in so many other brands. I then bought a red shade, which is a PB15 column 6. This is very different to your standard Phthalo Blue. Normally, like I said, the pigment looks a lot more leaning towards an ultramarine than your standard Phthalo Blue. Then I have the Manganesblue hue. And I have also done a video about Manganesblue where I swatched this next to other hues and also the genuine PB33. As far as I know, that this one is the one which is closest. It is much more glowy than other brands' hues because they have added a dye, a fluorescent dye to it. Normally, when you are adding fluorescent dyes, the color gets completely non-light fast, but I don't know what dye they have used for that, what fluorescent, but this one is 100% light fast, so it didn't change. It just added, brightened the color so that it glows a lot. Not nearly as strong as the genuine pigment, but better than others. And I've seen in videos that if you are putting it under UV light, this will glow brightly. So it is Phthalo Blue PB15 plus fluorescent, like I said. Then I have the Lunar Blue, which is a color I very, very love, but I probably wouldn't buy it again because it is so easily made yourself. It is a PB15 Phthalo Blue and a PBK11, which is a black iron oxide. And because of the black iron oxide, which is a very granulating color, this color separates in black and blue if you add enough of water. It is similar to the dusk colors from Rembrandt and Van Gogh, which is basically just a PBK11 added plus any kind of other color. So if you have a PBK11 single pigment color, you can do these lunar or dusk colors by yourself if you are just mixing the black iron oxide with any kind of other color. So that is definitely the better choice to buy. Then I have the Indigo. They have a PB60, so Ceruleanblue and PBK6 mix, which is a very, very beautiful version and a very light fast one as well. Then I have, of course, the pure Ceruleanblue, PB60 again. Then I have a Prussian blue, PB27. So last colors for today. So first going to the Cobalt sector, we have a Ceruleanblue and a Ceruleanblue Chromium. Like I said, some brands offer the PB35 or a PB36. Some brands offer both, like Daniel Smith. That's the PB35 and that's the PB36. And normally I'm not so much into the PB36 versions, but the Daniel Smith version I do like. And then, of course, your standard Cobalt blue, which is a PB28. And then I have two colors which I haven't opened so far. The first is Sodalite Genuine. Those are both from the Primatech line. I do know that with the Primatech line, there aren't any information what they put into the tubes. It is known because an individual tester, a chemist, did a test a few years back with, I think it was a Amazonite Genuine, which showed then up that it is mostly PBG7 phthalo green with a little bit of Amazonite, that the colors are only containing a small amount of the gems or minerals in it, which is, if you would be honest with it, in my opinion, it is fine. I'm just a little bit disappointed that the company didn't handle the questioning so well, why they not openly say that it is a mix and not a pure only the gem or what else. I mean, it is no shame, because when you're looking at 100% grounded gemstones, for example, you can look up those photos of those pigment powders on Crema Pigmente, and with most gems, it is nearly a white powder with only a hint of color, even with strongly colored stones. So it is, of course, you can't do the color like that. You have to add something if you don't want a translucent, colorless color. So yeah, it is just something to be aware of. The Sodalite Genuine I haven't opened because in the small test set I've bought many years ago, there is a Sodalite Genuine color in it, and I want to use it up first, but I've bought it because I did like it a lot, and I enjoy working with it. It looks nearly black. It is a super dark blue color which granulates very beautifully. And then I also have the Blue Apatite Genuine, which I also haven't opened so far. I have the dot card from Daniel Smith. That's why I have on my dot cards, I have always marked which ones I do own and which ones I'm interested in. And yeah, when I did order a year ago, I thought, okay, now finally I will buy this color. Haven't opened it, but I'm happy that I have it. So yeah, that were all my blue watercolors. I hope you have enjoyed the video. I hope it was interesting and helpful. Please let me a comment which are your favorite blues, or if there are any blues you're now interested in, please let me know. And yeah, thumbs up or a follow is always very, very appreciated, because it really, really helps me and the channel. So thank you very much for each of them, and I hope you have a wonderful day and hope to see you soon in another video. Bye bye.